Right, so we've spoken about healthcare a little bit, and it's quite serendipitous that you use the word the Amazons of the world, because so I'm a veteran, active duty veteran. I've been out for 5 years already, and the first 2 years were the most rough I've ever experienced in my life. And you're talking about some of the antipsychotic and schizophrenic drugs, and the VA's solution, in their wise wisdom, was to put me on 2 different antidepressants and an antipsychotic at the same time. Now, instead of it actually getting better and me understanding the root of the anger and the reactivity, and it just made me numb to everything. It didn't allow me to be angry, but it didn't allow me to be happy. And so where I'm getting to with the Amazon, I decided after a week, which they told me to take it for a month before you see any real results, which is beyond absurd, beyond absurd. To anybody educated, I feel that that's absurd, but it's also messing with biochemistry, and I don't know a lot about it. What I'm getting to is I stopped taking those drugs, and I continued to do research because I needed to do something, because I wanted to stay here and to be able to experience the family life. And I would not be here right now if it wasn't for psilocybin, cubensis, mushrooms, and ayahuasca, and that's 100% fact. I would not be here. I didn't cry for over 4 years straight before I took psilocybin mushrooms for the first time, and I cried for 4 hours straight. And while this gentleman was sharing his story, I couldn't help but choke up, because I understand, I feel that pain. And so my question is, you know, in indigenous cultures, they have shamans, and it seems like a natural proclivity towards the human experience to have these people. And the closest that we have is psychiatrists, but they're too mechanical. And when the warriors or people that experience severe trauma get back to the tribes, they would spend at least 6 months with these shamans, reintegrating them into society and teaching them how to be humans again. And so how do we get these clinical studies to, obviously they're going at their own pace, they're doing the due diligence, but it's been around for so long, and there's been so many people like the Beals that we know that we know it has impacted them in tremendous ways.
First, thank you for sharing. Thank you for your service. You know, I give you a hug or shake your hand. You are not the first person who has told me about the fact that psilocybin mushrooms have enhanced their way of life and their well-being. Yesterday I heard very passionately from someone who argued that CBD oil, another military veteran, said that it saved his life. I'm for the total legalization of marijuana and cannabis. It shouldn't be on the federally controlled substance list. And I'm very open to legalizing psilocybin mushrooms as well. The fact is, right now, what's the most lethal drug in America? Opiates. Like, it's all these prescription opiates that are killing 8 Americans an hour. And that was quote unquote legal because Purdue Pharma profited to the tune of $30 billion on the backs of our communities and our families. And we fined them $635 million, which sounds like a lot until you realize it's only 2% of $30 billion. And that family is one of the richest families in the country today. So in the context of that, and you look at drugs like marijuana and mushrooms, and you say, wait a minute, what? like these drugs are not anywhere near as lethal. They're not as crucially addictive. So why are we criminalizing one thing and profiteering and essentially destroying lives on the other? So the reason why I smiled was I love the fact that Native populations had to spend 6 months with a shaman, and it did make me reflect, like, who is the shaman in American life today? Like, in American life today, you describe psychiatrists as being overly mechanical, and I couldn't agree more. Like, I think that our medical industrial complex is too mechanical. I think, unfortunately, how many of y'all are educators? I think our educational system is becoming unduly mechanical. I would lighten up on the SATs and the standardized tests and the rest of it. You know, we devised the SAT during World War II as a way to identify which kids not to send to the front lines. And then now we just decide to bludgeon our kids with it every year, like every year is wartime. So we need to try and humanize our economy to the extent possible, and humanize solutions that work for people when they come home. If you were to show up to the VA and they had this whole range of things, instead of saying, hey, take these 2 antidepressants and the antipsychotic and then wait for months for it to numb you. Or, I would love it if they said, hey, how about that? Or we could send you to the 6-month reverse boot camp with our modern day equivalent of a shaman who's been in service and came back, and now he makes a living helping make veterans stronger. And guess what? You can take mushrooms as part of that 6-month reverse boot camp. Like, that would be the kind of thing I would love to sponsor at the VA as a pilot. I have a feeling it'd be the most popular pilot. And the efficacy rate would be higher. And then you just be like, hey, it's data driven. Turns out the modern day shaman is more effective than the antipsychotics. And then the drug companies would be like, but wait a minute, we get paid less. And I'd be like, that is the point, get lost. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for your service. And I believe this is your family. Is this right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful family. Congratulations. You should be able to experience it every day.